I like bosses. I like ranking them, talking about them, facing them, listening to their themes, challenge running them, taking big fat dookies on them. But today, we're talking areas. I must admit, I'm not an area maestro. Even after beating Dark Souls 3 over 10 times, I have not beaten every quest line. I know all of them and have viewed them on YouTube. Good site, by the way. You guys should check it out. But I'm not a completionist gamer. This means I'm approaching this ranking tentatively as somebody who's not lived through the same way all of you may have. There are some hot takes here, so get your milk ready. I was gonna do 10, but there are just too many cool areas to talk about. Oh yeah, and Demon Souls is not on the list, as per usual. Let's get some honorable mentions out of the way. Lothric Castle, unbelievably underrated. Hyde's Tower of Flame, a visual masterpiece, and some really cool mechanics, but not as large or as intricate as some of the best levels. Dragon Aerie, some of the most annoying enemies of the entire series, but one of the coolest set pieces ever. Dark Souls 2 moment. Sen's Fortress, what a fun house. I love the progression as you learn the tricks the area tries to pull on you. Old Yarnum would have been a shoo-in for top 10 a few years ago, but others have just popped off even harder in my mind. Kiln of the First Flame and Ash Lake. Unforgettable moments, but not really full areas. Academy of Raya Lucaria. Hogwarts but cooler? Fishing Hamlet. One of the most unique levels in visual, enemy design, and layout. Now, to the real list. No more of this baby time. Number 15, Blighttown. Starting off with a banger. I've seen this in people's worst levels of Dark Souls 1 alone, let alone best of the series. Wait. Before you kill me, let me explain. I promise you'll only partially hate me in a few seconds. So for my criteria for this list, I'm looking at the intricacy of the level design, the visual appeal, the enemy design, and the overall atmosphere, not the bosses. Blighttown is kind of like the Caelid of Dark Souls 1 to me, where it is extremely oppressive and challenging and borderline unfair at times, and that's what makes it perfect. It is, to me at least, the absolutely most iconic area from any of the Dark Souls games, as it perfectly embodies everything I love about them. It's the antonym to the sense of grandeur of battling gargoyles on rooftops. This shows you how unbelievably dense this world is as you stumble your way down.
And down, and down.
It shows you how many secrets are potentially hiding underneath its belly, as finding the depths was about as far down as I expected to go. This symbolic descent into chaos is fittingly crushing, and one of the most memorable moments of the entire series. Number 14, Senpu Temple. One of my few complaints with Sekiro is the sameness of the visual design, which is clearly not a problem in some of its top areas. I appreciate the more grounded approach to graphical design, but it can become tedious upon hours and hours of similar structures. This is abandoned entirely upon reaching Senpu Temple, which features vibrant colors, inventive enemies, and full utilization of the grapple mechanic. I find myself grateful to be here every time I meander my way in, and beyond the vibrant colors, it's filled with vibrant encounters. There's the Armored Warrior mini-boss, which is a battle straight out of Souls with the iconic scream. Most of the enemies are intense and challenging, and the area feels overwhelmingly big at times. A true champion of Sekiro. Number 13, Majula. Spoiler alert! This is going to be the only Dark Souls 2 area that finds its way on the list. There were a couple in the honorable mentions, but that's all I could do because some of the enemy encounters just get so frustrating in Scholar of the First Sin. While there is a case to be made for the best hub area to be in almost every game, I personally have always had a soft spot for Majula. The serene music builds a hopeful atmosphere which is at odds with the decaying world surrounding it. It feels immune to the chaos, and it truly feels like a safe haven. I like how it's physically connected to the world around it, and the first time I stumbled upon it, it practically made me cry. Perhaps it's consecrated in my mind as iconic in part due to the contrast it poses to the rest of Dark Souls 2. Perhaps it's the whispering of what Dark Souls 2 could have been, or maybe it's just showing beauty in the design itself, if we're only willing to look. And if I've learned one thing on my Souls journey, it's this. Those f***ing pigs will f*** you up. Seriously, stay away from those In all seriousness, it's to appreciate the beauty where it is, because it's really easy to complain and a lot harder to stay positive in a world as cruel as ours. Number 12, Anne Orlando.
Hey, Dark Souls fans, the
Nightwalk channel
is in serious trouble. In Orlando, and needs your help to defeat Ornstein and Smo.
Speaking of staying positive, how you guys doing? Do you need a glass of water? Perhaps some pain meds for the headache? The one that I just caused by putting Anor Londo outside of the top 10? Okay, listen here, buddies. Anor Londo is amazing. It actually embodies some of the same concept I just gushed about with Majula. It's a moment of beauty in a world of decay. I love this place, and watching people traverse it for the first time gives a level of satisfaction unlike any other. Some of the most iconic and memorable moments of the series are here, such as flying over the city walls for the first time, traversing the castle as the losers try to snipe you off. I don't even really have complaints when it comes to the area either. I could say that a few of the enemies are frustrating to deal with, like the painted guardians or the stupid bat imp golem things, but they're not too bad. This isn't about Anor Londo's shortcomings at all. It's about some other areas managing to wow me more in some other departments. The only minor things I could say is that you also don't get to explore that much of this brilliant and expansive city. We're relegated to specific rooms, unlike another city on this list, which limits our experience of this vast world. It does provide connective tissue with other massive areas, and will always hold a special place in our hearts. You know what's cool is when everyone says something is awesome, and it looks pretty awesome, and then you do it, and it's awesome. Isn't that insane? Nothing ever seems to live up to the hype these days, and now we have Elden Ring and Anor Londo. Sheesh. Number 11, Irithyll of the Boreal Valley. Dark Souls 3 is epic. Similar to the last two entries, Irithyll is busted upon an unsuspecting player who has just been slogging through drab and oppressive areas tirelessly. In the case of Irithyll, you are just finally escaping Skelly's dark, desaturated dungeons, only to be met with the Northern Lights, Dark Souls Edition. The city in the distance flutters with color and life, shrugging all of the problems with Dark Souls 3's color palette. As you approach, you hear a sound behind you and are met with absolute terror as one of Sullivan's beasts charges you with blood on its mind. The entire experience of this area, and that's what it is, an experience, is complete and extensive. There's the exploration of the majestic city filled to the brim with cool-ass enemies like these spectral knights, along with really evil-looking witches that summon fire to decimate you. Unfortunately, there are a couple of goofy doggo moments which pull down some of the street sections, but the combination of interwoven level design, amazing visual design, and chilling atmosphere catapult the Big Blue Land to number 11. Number 10, Crumbling Farum Azula. Archdragon Peak 2, but this is more. This is like Archdragon Peak Deluxe. The enemies here are more enjoyable to fight. The mystique of the castle lost in space and time is not too far removed from the Archdragon counterpart, but the twisting tornadoes and crumbling castles make it just a bit more compelling. I've heard that the ruins in Limgrave are actually potentially pieces of this city that have fallen from the sky, adding more to previous parts of the game even. Isn't that a cool detail? A little of the visual contrast is lost with the removal of clear blue skies from Archdragon Peak, but the bits of visual storytelling are so inspiring of curiosity. I love the inventiveness of traversing the crumbling structures to find hidden secrets. Even though this is a required area, it feels so obscure, and for that, it inspires memories of the most hidden locations of the series. So cool. Number 9, Cathedral Ward. The enemies here might be some of my favorite of the series. The white plague doctor looking dudes are easy yet refreshing, but the giants. These giants are perhaps my favorite non-knight regular enemy in the whole series. It's so satisfying to fight them. I remember the first time I walked upon them, I was terrified. There was no way I could take out something so huge. I actively avoided them for as long as I could, and when I accidentally aggroed one, I practically shat myself in terror. Learning to take them out was satisfying and intense, and built the world of Bloodborne that I fell in love with. Stack on top of this the numerous NPCs, the branching paths into massive sections of the game, and art design up the wazoo, and you have a perfect recipe for gameplay perfection. The main reason it's here, well, there might be a superior version down the line. Number 8, the Painted World of Ariandel. Snowy areas seem to always have a special place in people's hearts. From Castle Cainhurst to the Painted World, something about the aesthetic always seems to grab people, and for me, that could never be more true than it is with the Painted World of Ariandel. Now, there's an entire argument to be made about the size of this DLC as a paid add-on to the game, but as a single area, this place is ginormous. Seriously, from the frozen lake beneath to the wolf invasion to the gross town hidden below, and all of the cool and fun enemies within, I personally love the tree that jump scares you with a rage at one point down at the frozen lake. I really think they went all out in creating a fantastic atmosphere with this one. While the atmosphere and magical aesthetic are all absolutely on point, a few of the enemies can be somewhat weaker than other areas mechanically. But the magical fairy dust sprinkled on the snowy lands of the painting enchanted me enough to move it up this high. Number 7, Stormvale Castle. I'm gonna be honest, when I first obliterated Margit and traversed the bridge to claim my reward only to be met by another insurmountable obstacle, I was mildly disappointed. Where was my reward for slaughtering that goat? I felt like I had hit another immovable obstacle instantly after beating Margit. Limgrave was really rough for me, as it took me some time to sink into the Elden Ring combat, and Stormvale was brutal. I thought people were overhyping this area. I chose the external route, of course, not through the main gate, and slowly but surely beat my way through the castle walls. I distinctly remember the jump scare being shut into a dark room with a brutal enemy, and the classic Dark Souls feel of Stormvale permeated my very being. Yeah, Stormvale is basically a perfection of every single intro Souls level. Think Undead Burg, but on aesthetic and mechanical steroids. The size of this castle is daunting. The multiple ways you can traverse it, the variety of cool enemies, the utilization of rooftops for the first time, along with the jump mechanic. It all clicked. The game truly sold me when I first viewed Liurnia, but the entire buildup of Stormvale to the eventual Godric battle set the foundation for that selling. Stormvale is the best possible introductory dungeon I could think of for Elden Ring, and they really nailed the essence of classic Dark Souls with it. Number 6, the Ringed City. While the Ringed City isn't all flawless, the highs are some of the highest of the entire series. I'm talking hotbox levels. Take the introduction. I personally love the reveal of the city. This sparkling, saturated city brimming with discovery appears as you fly into its glow. But then it features these turtle enemies which are maybe not the best. But then it features the Ringed Knights, perhaps the best enemy in all of Dark Souls 3. Then it features some of the coolest set pieces and level hazards of the entire series, and the awesome Judicators, and even more awesome Midir. Seriously, can this dragon look any cooler? Lasers, fire, blue scales and all. It is massive and expansive with different biomes and endlessly hidden discovery. My personal favorite moment is probably the battle with the dual greatsword Ringed Knight atop the city as you stare down on everything you've overcome. I guess I just love that this one takes everything we love about Souls and twists it just enough to keep you on your toes. Oh, and it looks awesome, sexy, and everything I want. Number 5, Fountainhead Palace. Take everything I said about Senpu Temple and kick it up about 15 notches for Fountainhead Palace. This is certainly the most beautiful area of the series, and the magical carp god speaks to my very being. It incorporates the mechanics you've learned throughout the game, including lightning reversals, swimming, stealth, and amazing enemies full of life and color. Perhaps the number one highlight of Sekiro is stumbling upon Fountainhead Palace for the first time, and it brings all the charm that is missing from some of the more monotonous areas of the game. While the combat of Sekiro is magical in itself, sometimes the world feels like the world. Fountainhead Palace feels like a magical realm that I'm allowed to visit, only because Miyazaki and the FromSoft team have allowed us to take the portal into greatness. The one thing keeping this area from a higher spot is that some of the insta-kill enemies are a bit too spammed in the stealth section. Sure, the stealth mechanic can be fun, and I love feeling like a ninja, but I get overwhelmed and die quite quickly. I can't think of a single thing this area doesn't do at least as good as the best in the series. Number 4, Volcano Manor. Volcano Manor is like if Bloodborne mixed with Dark Souls and was executed to perfection. Perhaps one of the most memorable moments of all of Elden Ring for me was finding the secret corridor through the back of a hidden room in Volcano Manor, only to discover the disturbing world that lied beyond the walls. Something about these unbelievably hidden areas adds an extra charm to them. Cages hidden under the bridge that dips into lava, suggesting torture and death sentences to apostasies. Streets rivaling the best of Bloodborne, littered with character, destruction, fear, and decay. This place feels so unique and far removed from the rest of the game, a theme you may have noticed on my list. I love areas that feel inventive, and Volcano Manor feels like one that they spent an inordinate amount of time fleshing out. It has the classic Souls shortcut system in spades, rooftop traversal, a huge variety of disturbing enemies, and it quenched my Bloodborne thirst and then some. It is undoubtedly the best lava area in the series, although there isn't exactly the strongest competition where that's concerned. Before I get to my top 3, be sure to like the video, subscribe, and check out my other Soulsborne and Elden Ring content. Not a lot of people are subscribed, but a lot of people are watching, and we all love this stuff here. Also, nobody watched my video about Elden Ring memes. It was good. Check it out after this. Or you can check out my video ranking the open area sections of Elden Ring. Number 3. The Hunter's Nightmare. After being grabbed by one of these things, you're transported to a twisted version of Cathedral Ward. You get to see some of the most badass hunters live, kicking ass in action. There's nothing I love more than seeing asses being kicked in person. Look at this! It's so cool to see an area we've known and loved twisted into something totally its own. It has some of the same structures, but everything is different. And I think the enemies here are some of my favorite in the series to battle with. The lighting is much brighter than the typical Bloodborne excursion, meaning you get to see every ounce of this bloody street in full clarity. The disturbingness is beyond palpable. I suppose this is kind of the quintessential DLC experience, and is everything I'm looking for and much, much more. Number 2, Central Yharnam. The perfect intro. In nearly every introductory area of a Souls game, I find myself trying as hard as I can to find the next boss, skip to the next section, and move on quickly and purposefully. Not only is Central Yharnam the perfect teaching tool for Bloodborne combat, but it is also unbelievably fun, even as a series veteran. I never want to rush through this area. Me! This is actually huge, and you guys don't know me, but you could probably guess that I am a boss aficionado. I usually am all about the bosses. And I love Cleric Beasts and Father Gascoigne, but I see this level as something transcendent to that. It might simply be the reason I got so sucked into Bloodborne as my favorite of the series. If this level didn't work so flawlessly, perhaps Bloodborne might have not ended up as my favorite. Central Yharnam is brimming with character, from the screams, the babies crying. There's so much character in every corner, detail put into these streets with the people who you can talk to through the doors who are shut in while the hunt is going on. There are different enemy types, from the street enemies down to the sewers. There are brutal werewolves and hordes of enemies you need to split. It's stacked with challenge, but not excessively so. Sure, it's brutal for newcomers, but that's what sold me. Every time I'm here, I want to uncover every detail. But there's one area that took the lead. Number 1, Leyndell, Royal Capital. Holy sh**, what an area. This is unquestionably the best city FromSoft has ever made. From the dragon corpse strewn across the ramparts implying a warring kingdom, to the jaw-dropping spectacle, the Erdtree ever present in the background, the slew of impossibly perfect enemies. I'm surprised they managed to fit so many perfect ideas in one area. I think FromSoft might be cheating. There's no way this happened. While I originally considered putting Central Yharnam above Leyndell, the sheer scale and scope that is executed so flawlessly could not be ignored here. We've had so many cities in these games, from Anor Londo to the Ringed City to Irithyll, and while all of these are beautiful city levels and are stunning, there's always been a creeping feeling that we're on a set linear path through this journey. Leyndell throws this out the window, and then throws out the window. You can climb up the dragon's corpse. Let me say that again. You can climb up the dragon's corpse. You can jump on any of the rooftops, down any street. Anything you can see, you can go to. You can scour every minute detail. And while the city is beautiful, it still is probably not my favorite area aesthetically of the entire series. I cannot deny the intricate level design, gorgeous set pieces, scale, freedom, and awesomeness that permeate every corner of this beacon of achievement. Congratulations, FromSoft. Be sure to check out my other Souls content like I said. You can check out my Elden Ring memes video, my areas video. Be sure to let me know your top 10 areas down below. And I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Thanks for watching.